Okay. So in the previous session, we have discussed about data types, and we have discussed what exactly a data type and what it indicates, what categories of data types that we have in Apex programming, and what exactly a primitive data type, and what are the various primitive data types that we have in Apex programming. We have discussed. So there we have discussed almost 8 primitive data types we have discussed, like integer, and then long, ID, string, boolean, date, time, and the date type. So these are the 8 data types we have discussed as of now. Still, we are having block, object, decimal, and the double. So these are the 4 primitive data types are still left. Now let's see this each data type one by one. What exactly the significance of each data type? Now let's see. The next data type is decimal. So what exactly the decimal data type and what it represents? Now let's see. So basically, decimal data type allows us to store numerical values inside the variable. It allows us to store numerical values inside the variable along with decimal digits also. Not only purely integer values, we can store the integer value along with the decimal digits also. Now, in this case, as part of this decimal data type, it is having a speciality that we are having some ready-made built-in methods are available to round up the values. In order to round up the values to the next number or to the previous number also here. Now, in the case, in order to round up the values, whatever the built-in methods are required, those methods are available as part of decimal data type. And along with that, we can specify after the decimal digits, how many digits you would like to show. After the decimal point, how many digits you would like to represent that we can control. Sometimes after the decimal point, I want to show only 1 digit. Sometimes I want to show 2 digits. Sometimes I want to show 3 digits. Sometimes I want to show 4 digits. Depends upon my requirement. Based on my requirement, I want to decide how many number of digits to be visible after the decimal point. For that reason, we have few ready-made methods like a set scale method. By using this set scale method, we can specify how many digits you would like to show after the decimal point that we can control. Now, so in this case, as part of this decimal data type, it allows us to store the numerical values along with the decimal digits also. So which contains some built-in ready-made methods which are used to round up the values. It may be to the next number, it may be to the previous number also. We can round up the values with the help of some ready-made methods. And along with that, we have a built-in method to indicate how many digits you should have after the decimal point. That we can control the number of digits to be visible after the decimal point also by using set scale method. Now, so in this case, whenever we are creating a field, what field types will be referencing this decimal data type now? Number, okay? Percent, okay? Currency also. Okay, so each currency field by default referencing to decimal, and along with that we have number field, we have percent field. In that case, we can specify upon creating a number field will allow us to store an 18-digit number, including decimal digits also. So percent field will allow us maximum of an 18-digit number, including decimal digits also. Now here in this case, we can specify. In this case, we can specify here how many digits you would like to show after the decimal point that we can control with the help of decimal data type as well here. Okay, so each number field, currency field, and the percent field will be referencing decimal data type. Okay, now make a note of this one. It allows us to store the numerical values inside the field along with the decimal data also, along with the decimal digits also. It allows us to store the numerical values inside the field or inside the variable along with the decimal digits also. It contains a set of built-in methods. It contains a set of built-in methods which can be used to round up the values based on the need. And we can specify the number of digits to be visible after the decimal point. After the decimal point. Note, each number, currency, and percent fields will get reference to the decimal data type. Done with this? Next, the double data type. So basically, double data type also allows us to store numerical values along with the decimal digits also, but it's purely an arbitrary length data type. That means, so we don't have any limitation to represent the number of digits to be visible up to the decimal point. We don't have any limitations. Like for example, assume that I'm doing some calculation, like for example, 10 by 3. So what is the value? It will represent the value 3.3333 like that here. It will be representing these values over here. But in some cases, in most of the cases, we would like to round up this value 3.34. We'll round up the values over here. But when you go to the scientific calculations, when you go to the pharmaceutical products, upon preparing those pharmaceutical products, they need exact calculations. If the rounding of the value, automatically formula will get changed. If the formula has changed, medicine will change here. So they need some exact calculations. They need some exact values as well. In this kind of situation, if you want to represent some more number of digits after the decimal point, then we can go with the help of double data type. So double data type is an arbitrary length data type which allows us to store numerical values along with the decimal digits also. But here we don't have any roundup functions. No roundup methods to round up the value to the next number, to the previous number, nothing. We don't have that. That is available only in the decimal data type. In double data type, we don't have any additional methods to round up the values and to restrict the number of digits to be visible. So in order to show the exact value of the calculation, we can use the help of double data type. Now, here also, each and every number field and the currency field and the percent field will be referencing to that decimal data type as well. So double data type as well here. Okay. Now, let's see. Make a note of this one. It is an arbitrary length data type which allows us to store numerical values inside the variable along with the decimal digits. But it won't have the ready-made methods to round up the values.
Sir, in double, how many decimal points it will allow?
No, it will allow that. There is no limit. There is no restriction. That's what I told you. It's arbitrary length data type. Done with this? Next. The next one, blob data type. So what do you mean by blob? What is the full form of blob data type? Sorry? No. What is the full form of blob? Now, the blob stands for binary large objects. Blob stands for binary large objects. Then what do you mean by these binary large objects? What type of data this variable can store? Okay, now let me explain. Now, let's see. For example, assume that. As of now, we have discussed so many data types. Like we have discussed integer data type. It will store what? Only one integer value. Okay, it will store only one integer value. Long data type, it can store one long value. ID data type, only one record ID. String data type, it will store one string value. Boolean data type, it will store Boolean value, true or false. It will store date value, it will store time value, it will store date time value. Okay, fine. That means whatever the data types till now we have discussed, these data types will be storing only one value of the respective type. If it is a string type, it will store only one string value. That may be name, email ID, address, whatever, one string value. If it is an integer, it can store one number value. If it is date, it can store only one date value. But in some cases, not only storing these kind of values, I want to store some large objects also. Large object means what? Which will occupy some more content, like our attachments, images, pictures, audio files, video files, animations, PDF documents, Word documents, Excel sheets. Like that here, in this case, if I'm adding any attachments along with the records, like for example, assume that I'm having a record. I'm going to my Salesforce application. I'm going to my application. Now, I'm having a position object here. I'm opening a position record. Along with the position record, I would like to add a file also. Go to the related tab. Here you will be having the option notes and attachments. Click on upload files. I'm uploading one PPT document over here. PowerPoint presentation. I'm uploading one document over here. Now, I would like to upload one more file also here. I would like to add a Word document also. I'm adding this content here. So now here in this kind of situation here, now these are not simply the integer value. This is not a string value. This is not a ID value. This is a file which contains some larger content. Now in that case, how this content will get resides? In this case, we are having different formats. Some text files are available, PDF files are available, images are available, pictures are available, Word documents are available, audios are available, videos are available. We are uploading some different kinds of attachments also. In this case, how this attachment file will get stored? In order to store this kind of files, it is using the help of a data type called as blob data type. What do you mean by this blob data type? Blob data type is used to store the binary content of a large object. Large object means a file also, a document also, image also, picture also, audio also, video also, anything. Now, in that case, in order to store that binary content, binary means what? Zeros and ones. Now, why it is converting to binary format here? Because we don't have any such a databases in Salesforce, or not only in Salesforce, in any other programming languages in IT industry. We don't have any such a databases which can store a file inside the database directly. Inside the column, it can't store a file directly over here. That is a problem. For that reason here, whatever the file you are going to add an attachment, it may be picture also, audio also, video also, the whole content of the file will be converting into binary format. That means zeros and ones. Whatever the file content that we have, file content will be converting into binary format. This binary format of data will store into a database table here. Okay, this is how the databases can store the files information. But we don't have any such a data type. We don't have any such a database in IT industry which can store a file exactly inside the database table column. We don't have such options. For that reason, if you want to store the binary content of a file, we are using the help of blob data type here. Now, can you give me some scenarios where or what kind of object will be referencing this binary data type? Large objects, where we are using files. Document object, right? Okay. Any more place? In Lightning experience, we don't have document object. We have uploaded some images somewhere. What is that place? In classic document object. In Lightning?
Static resources.
No. Now, we have this position record over here. Let's go to the position record. We are able to represent that position record over here. And then depends upon this status which was selected, we are showing some image. Suppose if I'm changing the status to in progress, I'm representing a different image over here. Now, I'm representing a different image. Closer. Now in this case, I'm changing this status over here. Whenever I'm changing the status to on hold, upon click on save, it will represent on hold image here. Then where we have uploaded these images here. What is that place? Where we have placed these images. For document object, there is a replacement in Lightning. What is that?
Static resources, sir.
Sorry?
Static resource.
What? Static resource. Okay, right. Now, so in this case here, each and every document object, each and every static resource, each and every attachment object also. Whatever the attachments we are adding over here, all these attachments information will store inside attachment object. Attachment is a standard object in Salesforce which contains all the attachments which we have uploaded along with your records. So each document object and then static resource and then your attachment objects are referencing blob data type internally by default. Okay, clear? Now, make a note of this one. This data type allows us to store the binary content of an image, or picture, or attachment, or a file inside the variable. inside the variable. Each document object, comma static resource, and attachment objects will get reference to the blob data type by default. Next, the last one, object data type. The last one, object data type. So what exactly the object data type and what it represents? Now let me explain. So as of now, we have used the different data type to store the corresponding values. Like string data type to store a string value, ID data type to store an ID value, Boolean data type to store Boolean value like that. Suppose, for example, today I'm searching for some content from the database. Database is going to return one value. Okay, database will return one value. What type of value it will return? I don't know. I don't know that what type of value database is going to return. Sometimes database is returning integer value. Sometimes the database returns a string value. Sometimes the database is returning one ID. Sometimes it is returning Boolean value. Sometimes it is returning date value. Sometimes it is returning time value, different types of values. It is returning only one value, but any type of value it is returning, I don't know what type of value I'm going to receive. In that case, if you don't know what type of value you are going to receive, in that case, how to store that value inside the variable? If I know database is going to return one integer value, then I can define one integer variable here. But now in this case, there are some exceptional situations where we are receiving some value from different types. In this kind of situations, if you want to store any data type value, we are using the help of object data type. Object is a generic data type which can store any type of value inside that. It can store either an integer also, string also, Boolean also, ID also, date also, time also, any type of value it can store inside that. Okay. Now, here in this case, you can raise a question. Sir, if object data type can able to store any type of value, then what is the use of this many number of data types in this case? Now, in this case here, whenever we are dealing with this object data type, we have to use some explicit typecasting. Okay, we have to do some explicit typecasting. That means we have to convert the value from actual type to object type to actual type here. So now when you go to the other programming languages, these are called as boxing and unboxing. When you go to the C# or Java, this is called as boxing and unboxing features. When you go to Python, this is also called as marshalling or unmarshalling, pickling or unpickling features. So we are going to be doing some explicit typecasting. We need to convert the value from the actual type to object type to actual type over here. So, but in this case, we need to write some additional code. To avoid this kind of additional coding, we are going with the common data types. If you know what type of data that we are going to receive, go with the respective data type over there. There might be some exceptional situations where if you don't know what type of value you are going to receive, then only we can go with the help of object data type here. Okay, understood the concept here? That's what we can say. Object is a generic data type which can hold only one value of any data type here. Okay, now let's see. Now, it is a generic data type which can store any type of value inside the variable, which can store any type of value inside the variable. While storing the value inside the object data type, it requires an explicit typecasting. It requires an explicit typecasting. That means a type conversion also. It is also called as a type conversion. Done with this? Next. So these are the various primitive data types that we have in Apex programming. Now, let's see. Generally, when you go to the other programming languages, when you go to C programming or C++, these data types will be called as tokens. These are called as tokens. That means reserved words or system defined words. But as part of Apex programming, whatever the data types that we have discussed till now, each data type is nothing but a class. It's a ready-made class given by Salesforce. Integer is a class. Decimal is a class. Boolean is a class. String is a class. Date is a class. String is a class. Date time is a class. Each and every data type is nothing but a class. These are all are the built-in ready-made classes given by Apex programming. These are not system-defined words. These are not the reserved words. These are the built-in classes given by Salesforce. Okay, these are all are the ready-made classes which has been given by Salesforce by default. Okay, understood the concept here? Now, let's see. Next one. Now here, make a note of this one. All the primitive data types are the built-in classes given by the Apex programming language by default. All the primitive data types are the built-in classes given by Apex programming language by default. So let me try to show you that option over here. Previously in our Salesforce account, we had that, okay, auto complete our intelligence feature, but now it is not available since Winter 24 Salesforce has deactivated or retired that intelligence feature. Let me try to show you inside this Visual Studio Code editor. Do we have any possibility to check it out? No, it is not populating those intelligence methods over here. No, it is not populating the methods. When you check the Salesforce documentations, then we can see all the methods available inside that. No, it is not populating. See, let me show you. In the Salesforce documentation, see, integer is a ready-made class, which has been given by the Salesforce by default. In this integer class, we are having few methods like format method, value of field value method. These are few built-in methods are available over here. Now, like the similar way, string class. String is a built-in class given by Salesforce. Now, whenever we are trying to accessing the string class, in this string class, so many methods are available, like abbreviate method, abbreviate with the two parameters, capitalize method. These are all are the various methods that we have inside your string class. These are all are the built-in classes given by Salesforce. For example, we have blob data type. Blob is a built-in class given by Salesforce. Blob is a ready-made class. It contains some methods. Size method, to PDF, to string, value of, these are the methods. Each and every data type is nothing but a ready-made class given by Salesforce. These are not the reserved words, these are not the tokens, these are the built-in classes given by Salesforce. That's what I told you. Apex is purely an object-oriented programming language, which will be implementing the business logic in the form of classes and objects. So these are all our ready-made classes. Okay. Now, next, the second one, yes, subject data types. Second category of data types are yes, subject data types. So now tell me, what do you mean by a subject? Salesforce object. Yes, subject stands for Salesforce object. Salesforce objects means what? Right. So which will be the combination of both the standard objects plus custom objects. So the combination of both the standard and custom objects of Salesforce will be called as a subjects. That is also called as simply Salesforce objects or a subject, both are same. Now in this case, as of now, we have stored individual values over here. Okay. Now sometimes I want to store the record. Like for example, I want to store an account record. I want to store an account record. Now, I'm storing a record details over here. I have a record which is an account type here. I'm storing the account record values inside this variable. So this is my account record ID. For example, this is the ID of the account record. Name some Ram Kumar. Rating value some WAM. Industry some insurance. Now I would like to indicate annual revenue some 18 lakhs. Type some prospect. And the ownership some public. Phone number I'm having some value. Fax number I'm giving some value. Customer priority I'm giving as high. Active status I'm giving as yes. These are the details are available over here. So now in this case, now tell me, if I'm storing all these details, then it will be called as one record, right? Yes. Record contains so many values over here. Now tell me, this value will be of type what? ID value. This is of type what? String. This is also string. This is a string. This will be of type what? Decimal. Each and every currency field will reference a decimal by default. This is string. This is string. Phone string. Fax string. Priority string. And then active status string. Like we have different types of values. ID values, string values, decimal values. Like the different types of values are available as part of my record. In this case, how to store these values of a record? In order to store this complete record within a single variable, in order to store the records in a single variable, we are using the help of the data type called as SOjbect data types. SOjbect means Salesforce objects. Now, in this case, the combination of both the standard and custom objects will be comes under SOjbects of Salesforce. In this case, this is one record information. This record is what record? Account record. How do you know this is an account record? Based on ID. How can you recognize this is an account record? Because starting with 001. 001 means account object ID. You know the object IDs also. Like account object ID 001, contact 003, opportunity 006, case 500, solution 501, lead 00Q, campaign 701, user 005, task 00T, event 00U, group 00G. Like that here, we know the object ID is also in the starting process of configuration. Based on that ID, we can identify whether this is account record or case record or lead record or what. We can identify that here. Now it is starting with a 001, so this is an account record. In order to store this complete account record, Salesforce has given a data type called as account data type. Salesforce has given a data type called as account data type. Account is the data type which can store account record. Like the similar way, to store the case records, Salesforce has given a data type called as case. And for opportunity record, opportunity. For campaign record, campaign. For lead record, lead. Like that here, whatever the Salesforce object names that we have, with all the Salesforce object names, including standard, including custom, with all the object names, Salesforce has given some ready-made classes. Those are called as data types. These are to store your Salesforce object records. Not only storing small single values, we can store the whole records also. For that one, Salesforce has given that various data types. Whatever the Salesforce object names that we have, with the same name, Salesforce has given data types also. Account is a data type, lead is a data type, case is a data type, and the position underscore C is a data type. Candidate underscore C is a data type. These are all our ready-made data types, which are comes under subject data types here. Clear? Understood the concept now? Now, to store the integer value, integer data type. Like the similar way, to store the account record, account data type. To store the lead record, lead data type. Case record, case data type. Okay? Clear? Primitive data types are used to store what? Single value. SOjbect data types are used to store what? Custom object records. Okay? In order to store the records, we are using, because record contains so many values inside that. Okay, this is the difference between primitive and SOjbect data types. Okay, primitive data types are used to store a single value inside the variable. SOjbect data type is used to store a complete record inside that variable. Okay, now make a note of this one. By using SOjbect data types, we can store the Salesforce object records inside the variable. By using SOjbect data types, we can store the Salesforce object records inside the variable. Salesforce provides a separate data type for each Salesforce object. For each Salesforce object, where the object name and the data type name both are identical. Both are identical. For example, account, contact, lead, case, opportunity, campaign, user, task, etc. Along with that, we are having branch underscore C, candidate underscore C, position underscore C, hiring manager underscore C. Like that, we are having that so many data types along with the data type called as SOjbect. Now, account data type here. Account data type can store one account record. Lead data type can store one lead record. Opportunity data type can store one opportunity record. Position underscore C data type, it can store one position underscore C record. Candidate underscore C, it can store one candidate object record. Like that, here we can able to store. Now we have SOjbect data type. SOjbect is a generic data type. It is a generic data type which can store any Salesforce object record inside it. Like as your object data type in primitive, like the similar fashion we are having, SOjbect data type in SOjbect data types over here. SOjbect is a generic data type given by Salesforce which can able to store, any Salesforce object record inside it. Done with this? Now, so these are the various data types are available as part of your Apex programming. We have these two categories of data types: primitive data types and SOjbect data types. Primitive data types are used to store single values inside the variable. SOjbect data types are used to store the complete record inside the variables. Okay, here now. Now let's come to the scenario. Now, as part of this Apex programming is purely a tightly coupled programming language. Apex is a tightly coupled programming language. Then what it means, whenever if you want to store some value inside a variable, first of all, we have to define the variable first. As of now, in so many places, we have used the word variable here. Then what is variable? What it indicates? What is the use of variable? How to define variables? How to store the values? Okay, now let's see one by one here. So first of all, we have to understand what exactly a variable and then how to define. Let's see. For example, come to a small scenario. Assume that I have my personal PC. It may be laptop or desktop, whatever. In my system, I have 1 TB of storage space. My system's hard disk capacity is 1 TB space. Now, so now I'm having 1 TB space is available over here. This is a 1 terabyte space. I'm having 1 TB space. 1 TB space means how many GBs here? 1024. 124, 1 TB space means 1024 GB. 1 GB means how many MB? 1024 MB. 1 MB means? Right, okay, 1024 KB. 1 kilobytes means 1000 bytes. Each byte contains how many bits? 8 bits. Okay, this is a hierarchy. As part of operating system, during the memory allocations, this is the hierarchy that we have. Okay, now I'm having 1 terabyte of space. That means almost 1024 GB of space. Now tell me, in this 1024 GB, how much content that we can store? Huge content. We can store so many audio files, video files, images, pictures, photos, and then some movie files. So many things we can able to store inside this. But as of now, this entire 1 TB space is full. Sorry, it's empty. As of now, we haven't stored any content inside this. Just now I have purchased my system here. In this system, this complete 1 TB space is empty. There is no content is available here. Now this is an empty hard disk over here. Now in this empty hard disk, I can store any information wherever I want. Suppose, for example, today I'm storing my customer details. I would like to store my customer data. Now I'm storing my customer data now, where somewhere in this 1 TB space, because this entire space is empty, nothing is available, so I can store the content wherever I want. Now in this case, I'm storing the content over here. Here is the name of my customer. My customer name is, for example, some Sandeep Kumar. My customer name is some Sandeep Kumar. So now this is my customer name here. I'm having my customer name as a Sandeep Kumar. Here is the name. Whenever I'm storing this name in this particular 1 TB space, it is having some location, right? This is a location where exactly I have stored this content here. Now it is having some location. So this is a location where exactly I have stored this content here. This memory location will be having some address. Okay, each memory location will be having some address. Okay, now, like for example, come to a small scenario here. For example, today I want to meet one of my relative. So now I made a call to that person here. Okay, I asked him, okay, where is your house? He said that in Kukatpalli. Now tell me, Kukatpalli is a small area? No, it's a very big area here. In that Kukatpalli, where exactly? So now we need that complete address. So now in that case, wherever his house is available in Kukatpalli, it is having some specific address is available here. There is a landmark is available. There is some road number is available, flat number, apartment name, something is available, some exact address is available. So in this case, assume that here, this is the Kukatpalli space over here. In this space, this is my relative's house. It will be having some address. Because flat number, apartment name also, landmark also, road number also, area name also. We are having some address will be available. Like the similar way here also, whatever the space that we have inside your system, in this space I'm storing some content. This content will be having some memory address. Now, as part of operating system, memory addresses will be always represented in the form of hexadecimal formats. Memory addresses are always represented in hexadecimal formats. In hexadecimal format, each value will start with a 0x. If the value has been start with a 0x, means it's a hexadecimal format here. If the value contains only zeros and ones, it is available. This is nothing but binary value here. If it is having some value 45, means it's a decimal value over here. Okay, it is a decimal format. The numerical numbers, whatever we have, these are decimal formats. Now this is okay, Boolean format, so the binary format. This is hexadecimal format. Hexadecimal values are always starts with a 0x. Now this is also having that memory address. Assume that for this location, the memory address is okay 0x, okay 11xx1x. This is the memory address. So wherever the name of the customer has been stored in my hard disk, that memory will be having that location. This is the location of that memory address over here. Now, sometimes I want to get this value here, Sandeep Kumar. How to get the value? How to get the value? We need to go to the location. If you want to go to the location, we need that address, right? We need that address here. Now, in order to get that, in order to go to the location, we should be aware of this address here. Now, tell me, will you able to remember that memory address? No, we can't remember that here because it's a complex number here. It's a complex number. We can't remember that memory address here. Now, in this kind of situation, instead of remembering this memory addresses here, instead of remembering these addresses, for this memory address, we can give a meaningful name. We can give a meaningful name or an alias name or a nickname that is called as variable. Okay, now, sometimes we can raise a question, sir, okay, I can be able to remember this memory address here. If you want to buy hard, it's your choice, you can buy hard, no problem. Suppose if it is 1, then we can buy hard. Suppose, for example, I'm storing some more content of my customer, like my customer's designation. He is a business analyst. He is a business analyst. Now he is from Bangalore location. He is from Bangalore location. His salary is okay 42 lakhs. 42 lakhs. Some different values I have stored now. In different locations, I have stored these values. Salary also, and then designation also, location also. In this kind of scenario here, now each and every memory address will be having a specific address. Every location will be having a specific address. For example, this memory location is having the address 0x, okay, 1XX, okay, 11x1. This is the memory address over here. Now this memory will be having the location okay 0x 1 XX 11x1x. This is the memory address over here. Here it is having some memory address 0x 1x 1x 11x. This is the memory address here. Now tell me in this case here, if it is one memory address, you can buy hard. Now tell me, are you able to buy hard all these things here? No, it will be difficult. We can't remember all these memory addresses. In this case, instead of remembering these memory addresses, for each memory address, I would like to allocate a meaningful name. For each and every memory address, I would like to allocate a meaningful name. Now, for this memory address also, I want to allocate a meaningful name over here. Now, in this case, for this memory address, the first one I'm allocating the name as like as customer name. For the second one, I'm indicating as current CTC. Current CTC. Third one, I'm indicating as designation. Fourth one, I'm indicating some location name. Like that here. For each and every memory address, I'm allocating some meaningful name. Now tell me, remembering these memory addresses are easy or remembering these names are easy? Names are easy. Now, in this case here, whenever if you want to get some value from a particular location, instead of remembering this memory address, for each memory address, we can allocate a meaningful name. Now, these meaningful names are called as variables. These meaningful names are called as variables. Whatever the meaningful names that we have, these are called as variables. Then what do you mean by a variable? Variable is nothing but a name which has been allocated to the memory location in order to locate a value. Okay, variable is nothing but a name which has been allocated to the variable memory location in order to locate a value. Then what is the use of this variable? Each variable will be holding some value. So simply we can say variable is nothing but a container which contains some value inside that. Okay, variable is nothing but a container which contains some value inside this. Now this is one variable. This is the second variable. This is the third variable. This is the fourth variable over here. Now first variable is storing what? String type of value. Second variable is storing what? Decimal type of value. Currency. That means a decimal. Now, third one will be storing what type of value? String. Fourth one, string type. So we are storing three string type of values, one decimal type of value. In this case here, depends upon the value which you are going to store, we need to indicate the data type. Okay, clear? Now, come to a small scenario. For example, everybody is having your own smartphones. In your smartphones, you might be having some hundreds of contacts related to your friends, colleagues, family members, relatives, all the people's contact numbers are available. Now tell me, will you able to remember the contact number of your family members at least? Forget about for relatives, friends, okay, all the people here. In our family, we are having some 4 to 5 members maybe there. Will you able to remember the contact number of all these family members? No, we can't remember all. One or two we can able to remember, remaining we can't remember over here. Then in that case here, how can we make the call to these people? Upon storing that, okay, upon storing the contact information inside the mobile, for each number we are giving a name. Okay, for each number we are giving a name here. With that name, we are saving that contact number inside the mobile. In future, if you want to make a call based on that name, we can search for the contact, we can make a call, we can have the conversation with the people. That means what? For each and every contact number, we are giving a meaningful name. Based on the name, we can store the contact inside my mobile. In order to collect that contact number to make some call, search the contact number based on the name, we can have the conversation with the people. Okay, so now in this case here also, we are using the help of variables. Similar fashion, whatever the contact numbers you are storing, each contact number will store inside a variable over here. Second contact number, second variable. Third contact number, third variable. Like that, multiple contact numbers you can store. So in this case, when coming to the variable, variable is nothing but a meaningful name which has been allocated to the memory location in order to locate your value. So variables are used to store the value temporarily, not permanently here. Not permanently. If you want to store the value permanently, then only one location is that is database. We have to go to the database. Inside the database table, we have to store the value. That is the only location here in order to store the value temporarily, permanently. Variables will be storing the value temporarily whenever your program is getting executing. Once you close the program, automatically memory will be getting erased. Suppose later after 1 hour, if you're running the program again memory will be allocated, it will hold the value again over here. Okay, during the program execution, if you want to hold the values temporarily for some time, then we can go with the help of variables. Okay, clear? Now, so now these are the variable names which I have given over here. Now, depends upon the value which you are going to store, we have to specify the data type for each and every variable over here. Okay, clear? Now, then how can we define the variable? What is the syntax we used to follow here? Now, let me explain the syntax. Clear up to this one? Now, make a note of this one. Variable. Variable is nothing but, any question? Okay. Variable is nothing but a name to be get allocated to the memory location in order to locate a value. Variable is nothing but a name to be get allocated to the memory location in order to locate a value. Each variable can hold one value inside it. One value inside it. That is, variables are used to store the values temporarily inside the application. Now, Apex is a tightly coupled programming language where we need to define the variables. We need to define the variables with the associated data type before the usage, before its usage. Now, the syntax. In order to define the variable, we have to specify the access specifier, the data type, variable name, and optionally a value. This is the syntax we used to follow. Access specifier, data type, variable name, and optionally a value. And the statement should be ends with a semicolon. That I already told you in the previous session. In Apex programming, each statement should be ends with a semicolon. That is the base rule. Done with the syntax? Now, let's see. So whenever we are defining the variables, this is the syntax we used to follow in Apex programming. So whatever the things that I have mentioned in square braces, whatever the things that I have enclosed in square braces, these are optional. These are not mandatory. These are optional. If you want, we can use. If you don't want, leave it. Now, so now here I have specified access specifier. So now access specifiers concept we'll see later. Okay, during object-oriented programming, we'll see that. Right now, this is not required. So leave it here. Specify the data type. You know all the data types you have discussed. Primitive, yes, subject data types you have discussed. Specify the data type and then specify the variable name. With what name you want to create a variable, specify the variable name. But in this case, upon giving the variable name, okay, we have to follow certain rules. Okay, we have to follow certain rules. Generally, when you go to that, okay, colleges or educational institutions also, simply they will be indicating variable name like some X, variable some Y, variable some Z, like that. They will be defining the variable with one character. But when you go to the real-time implementations, this kind of naming conventions will not be allowed. We have to follow proper coding standards, naming conventions. Now, so now here in this case, whenever we are going to be defining the variable name, we have to follow certain rules. The first rule over here. Whenever we are defining the variable names, always we have to follow camel case. Okay, camel case. So now generally when you go to the coding standards, upon giving the names, we have three types of naming conventions are available here. Like as camel case, Pascal case, kebab case. Okay, three types of cases are available here. Now, first one, camel case. Second one, Pascal case. Third one, kebab case. Okay, kebab case. These are the three formats are available over here. Kebab case format. So now camel case means what here? Each and every word should be starts with a lowercase letter. Okay, camel case means each word should be starts with a lowercase letter. Inside that character, inside that name, we can use uppercase letters later on. Now that means it will start with a lowercase letter. For example, I'm indicating customer name. That means starting with a C. That means C is small. Now the balance amount, contact number, birth date, active status, like that here. So each word should be starts with the lowercase letter here. That is a fundamental rule of camel case. Now, Pascal case. Each word should be starts with an uppercase. Uppercase. For example, accounts helper, common helper, messaging helper, like that. It should be starts with the uppercase letter. Kebab case. Whenever we are going to the Lightning Web Components are purely supporting kebab case format here. Lightning Web Components are purely supporting kebab case format. Now, especially LWC. Now here, all the characters will be in the lowercase letters here, but each word should be separated by using hyphen. Now, let's see. All characters will be in lowercase, and each word should be separated with a hyphen. This is a notation. For example, we are indicating here. Now, welcome to Apex programming. Welcome to Apex programming. Customer name, like that. This is the notations over here. Camel case, Pascal case, kebab case. So the first principle, whenever we are defining the variable name should be always defined with the help of camel case. That means just by looking into the name itself, we can understand is it what? Is it a variable? Is it a procedure? Is it a class or what? Class names are always start with uppercase. That means Pascal case. Just by looking into the name itself, we can understand, identify is it a class, is it a variable? Okay, if it is a class, Pascal case. Variables, camel case. Now, this is the coding standard we used to follow. Done with this? Now, let me give you the rules over here. Upon defining the variable names, we have to follow certain rules. First rule, variable name should be always defined with the help of camel case. That is the first principle. Second principle, variable name should be always a single word. It should not have any spaces. Variable name should be always a single word. It should not have any spaces. Third one, variable name can include alphanumerical characters along with special character also, that is underscore. Only underscore will be acceptable. Remaining characters will not be allowed, like as a dollar, hyphen, hash, okay, dot, comma, like that it won't allow over here. This is the third principle. Fourth principle, whenever we are giving the variable name, please give a proper meaningful name for the variable. Don't give like as X, Y, Z, ABC, like that. Don't give these kind of names. In the real time, it will be very difficult for you to identify the code. For that reason here, okay, in the real time, we have to follow certain coding standards. But whenever we are learning this kind of courses in engineering institutes also, it may be like as college level also, they won't follow this kind of coding standards. Blindly, they will be defining the variables X, Y, Z, ABC like that. But in the real time, this kind of naming conventions are not allowed. We have to follow certain rules. That's what here in the interview point of view, definitely they will give you a requirement. They will give you the paper and pen. They will ask you to write the code. Based on the coding standards which you are following while writing the code, they can understand whether you are genuine or fake. So that here, please follow some coding standards from now onwards. So when you go to the real time, you should not have any issue over there. Okay, make it habituated from here itself. Next, the fifth principle. Whenever we are defining the variable names are always unique. Don't define two variables with the same name. Okay, variable names will be always unique. These are the five principles. First principle, we need to use camel case upon defining the variable. Second one, variable name should be always a single word. It should not have any spaces. Third one, variable name can include alphanumerical characters along with a special character underscore. Fourth one, variable name should be always in a meaningful format. Fifth one, variable names should be always unique. We can't define two variables with the same name here. Okay, clear? Now, make a note of this one. First principle. While defining the variables, we have to follow the below coding standards. First one, always use camel case to define the variable name. Second one, variable name should be always a single word. That is, it should not have any spaces. It should not have any spaces inside it. Third one, variable name can include alphanumerical characters along with a special character called as underscore. Variable name should be always in a meaningful format. Variable names should be always unique. That is, don't define two variables with the same name. These are the principles. By using these principles, how to define the variables, how to assign the values, okay, we'll see in tomorrow's session. Tomorrow we'll see the practical concept of defining the variables, assigning the values, how to define multiple variables within a single line, how to assign the values for them. If I'm not assigning any value, what will happen? We'll see. And then tomorrow we'll see the concept of operators. So once the variables has been defined with the respective values, how can we use some operators to perform the operations? We'll see in tomorrow's session. Tomorrow we have the session as usual here. This weekend we don't have the session. Saturday, Sunday you don't have the session. We can take an off. Okay. Now, so that you can plan accordingly.